NHL 13 is a major turning point in the EA franchise for one reason and one reason only: the skating overhaul. NHL 12 represents the end of an era for those who prefer faster, maybe slightly less realistic skating in their hockey games. NHL 13 begins the era of more realistic skating with heavier players, more realistic momentum, etc. And at least in NHL 13's case, for better or worse, the execution is the debatable point here. The funny thing is, though, from the moment I loaded up this game, the Twitch chat was divided. Some people despise this game and refuse to be convinced otherwise, that it was anything more than a bad game, while on the other hand, others were saying they loved it and they have fond memories of this game. At the very least, you can say it's a drastically different experience than the games that came before it. As for me, I'm torn. I can see the hate for the skating engine as it is thus far, and it's far from perfect, to be honest. Whether or not they'd get it right with next year's installment is a different debate, but there's no denying that it's a tad bit clunky at times, to put it nicely. On the flip side, though, and perhaps this is simply due to me enjoying a vastly different experience, I really liked the skating and the gameplay in general. EA have seemingly always tried to walk a tightrope, or the tightrope known as a perfect balance between realistic and slightly arcadey gameplay. NHL 13 offers a style that's more towards the realistic, and admittedly that is what I prefer. The inconsistencies that I've mentioned throughout these reviews, it stems from that incorrect balance where you never quite know what side of the spectrum any given play could fall on. Overall, NHL 13, it's not perfect, of course, but having played 14 already at the time of typing this review, I can say that a lot of negatives were addressed, but we'll get to those details next time. Aside from the skating, in-game strategies in NHL 13 have gotten a lot of love this year. It's essentially the same system we see today, aside from being able to set your aggressiveness when it comes to the forecheck while in-game, rather than having to do it from the main menu, which I think is a huge boost, especially when you talk about the puck ragging issue and not being able to change the fact that, hey, if you were also in the 1-4 trap, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. Your AI are still going to be set to being rather defensive. We see the debut of GM Connected in NHL 13. Unfortunately, the servers are down, although 14 and 15s aren't. But there's really no point in delaying my thoughts on the topic. It's Connected Franchise Mode. Was it perfect? No. The menus at times were incredibly slow, which IMO is the reason why the mode wasn't overly successful back in the day. It was more of a time investment because of this, and a lot of people gave up, perhaps rightfully so. It's a mode I would love to see back in the game, but I doubt we ever will see it. The potential for me as a content creator, I hate that word, but the potential for me as a content creator is astronomical. From viewer interaction to a league with other creators, it's honestly depressing to think about because I don't think we'll ever see it happen. Star Potentials make their series debut as well, but as most know, it's basically what we have now, with red, gray, and green stars that equate to low, medium, and high levels of potential. Still, I know a lot of people prefer this look. The other big thing to mention is the addition of NHL Moments Live. In this mode's debut, you could earn pucks for Ultimate Team, and then a few years later, they took away that option and basically killed their own mode to the point where 1 year they failed to add in a single moment throughout the game's life cycle. They flat out abandoned their own mode. Nobody ever said EA bats 1,000. As I mentioned, having already played the next game in the series while making this review, I know what's to come, and I'll say this: 13 is the start of something pretty damn good, in my opinion. But it'll definitely represent the beginning of a negatively viewed time in the series from here on out, if you prefer the more free-flowing, fast-paced games that came before it. And to that point, NHL 10, 11, and 12 are all solid games, and 12 has my vote as the best of that particular style on the 360 and PS3. We have 2 games left in this set of games for the Hindsight series. Onward to NHL 14 we go.